he do it time and time again? He drops into positions, nobody tracks him, nobody sees him, he's like a ghost.
God, that was really bad. God.
Bernardo Silva is one of the most versatile midfielders we have ever seen.
Nudges it on and it's in! Bernardo Silva on the stretch! Oh, and Bernardo Silva!
He has played in every position you can think of, from right wing, to center attacking midfield, to center defensive midfield, to even left back. Bernardo has done it all.
Silva, you can play in multiple positions.
Bernardo is a player you say, okay, you're going to play in that position, you don't have to say anything else. He understands everything.
He's not fast like Doku, he's not tall like Nico O'Reilly, and he isn't strong like Haaland. But what if I told you, despite all of that, he is still one of the greatest players to ever play in the Premier League?
He's not a quick player, but he's so intelligent how to drag you out. And then technically, he's a gift.
What a player. Only I can say that, what a player.
He might not always be the one getting the headlines, but inside the team, everyone knows how important he is.
Every time I watch Bernardo Silva, I always feel like he's almost like the player's player, the player that everybody in the league will admire. How would you say? I mean, he's incredible. I mean, he's almost defending, he's attacking, he's everywhere.
He's the guy that kept everything together. You watch a City game and you might see Haaland scoring or Cherki doing something cool, but Bernardo is always there doing the small thing. Whether it's dropping deep to help build up the play, moving teammates into position, or winning the ball back and starting attacks, the guy is everywhere. At times, I didn't quite understand why Pep kept starting him in Big 2026 when he had clearly gone older and wasn't the player he used to be. But Bernardo is the type of guy who knows exactly what the team needs in every single moment. Sometimes that means slowing things down. Sometimes it means speeding it up. He'll run back 40 yards to defend and then pop up on the wing to help an attack. And that's exactly why Pep glazes him so much.
Bern is my weakness.
Even when City have rotated players or changed the system, Bernardo was the only person that remained. Other big names might get rested, but he's the constant factor. He's the balance in the team, the player that makes everything work. He has played more games under Pep than almost anyone else. And even now, despite being an unk, he's still covering the most ground and doing all the hard work. He sets the standard in training, leads by example, and helps guide the younger players coming into the first team. What separates Bernardo from everyone else is his dribbling and his footballing IQ. His intelligence allows him to always be a step ahead of all the other players on the pitch. On top of that, he has some of the best dribbling I have ever seen. He is able to dribble out of spaces that are tighter than my bumhole when I was watching the 2023 Champions League final. And then, when it comes out of that space, he always makes the right decision with the ball. He can either make the perfect through ball or finish it himself. Bernardo's combination of excellent technical quality with an unlimited work rate make him such a valuable player. Because usually players as skillful as Bernardo Silva don't typically like to do the dirty work. But he's the complete opposite.
Authority the police.
I think
He is willing to do whatever it takes to win, which is probably why all the other clubs hate him, meanwhile City fans idolize him. Arsenal fans in particular are not big fans of Bernardo because he doesn't really rate them. Bernardo uses every fiber of his being to compete because, as I stated earlier, he's not the biggest guy, he's not the fastest, he's not the strongest. But when it comes to competing and playing at the highest level, there are not many other players that can do what he's done in his career. And that's because he didn't have it easy growing up. Even as a kid, he was smaller than most players around him. Others were taller, stronger, more physical. But what they had in size, he made up for with skill. His dribbling and football IQ were on another level, and that helped him survive in a competitive environment. He came through the Benfica Academy, playing for Benfica B in 2013, before getting promoted to the first team in 2014. People had already started noticing him after the 2013 Under-19 Euros with Portugal, where they reached the semi-final. He was even named as one of the top 10 Under-19 talents in Europe by UEFA Reporter, so there was some hype around him. But Benfica never really believed in him. Despite doing well for Benfica B and winning the league's Breakthrough Player of the Year, he barely got a chance with the first team. He played just 31 minutes across 3 games in the 2013-2014 season. Sometimes he wasn't even training with them. It was clear that Benfica didn't see his value, and in August of 2014, they sent him on loan to Monaco. And that's where everything began to change. In his first season in France, he made 15 appearances. He scored the winner against Marseille and got 2 goals in a 3-0 away win at Caen. His performances were so good that Monaco decided to sign him permanently just 6 months into the loan.
I'm very happy to be here in Monaco.
They paid 15.75 million euros, which now looks like a steal. Honestly, the fee kinda tells you how Benfica viewed him. They preferred players like Salvio and Gaetan, players who were quicker and more flashy. Bernardo didn't fit that mold. He wasn't the fastest or the strongest, and because of that, he kept getting overlooked. Benfica didn't fully understand how good his football brain and technique really were. Monaco did. The 2014-2015 season was just a glimpse of what he can do. His real breakout came in the 2016-2017 season. At just 23 years old, Bernardo was running the show in one of the most exciting teams in Europe. That Monaco side had Kylian Mbappe, Fabinho, and Radamel Falcao, but Bernardo was the one controlling everything. He wasn't as fast as Mbappe or as strong as Fabinho, but everything went through the little Portuguese genius. He played at his own pace, always knowing when to slow things down and when to speed it up. And even when he didn't have the ball, he was constantly moving, always involved. That's what made him special. His dribbling was so impressive that his teammate at the time, Benjamin Mendy, called him bubblegum because the ball was glued to his foot. Another one of his teammates, Jemerson, said that Silva was so magical and not from this world. Bernardo's under-18 coach, Pepa, felt that Bernardo developed his footballing brain as a result of being the smallest player on the pitch. According to Pepa, Bernardo always knew that he could never win the physical battles because he was always the smallest and the lightest. But because of his brain, he was always 2 or 3 steps ahead when he did receive the ball. You could see it in action when Bernardo scored an equalizer in the 87th minute against CSK Moscow in the Champions League. A few months later, he scored Monaco's last 2 goals to beat Marseille and move to the top of the Ligue 1 table. Monaco would go on to stay there thanks to another late equalizer from Bernardo against PSG at the Parc des Princes. While Bernardo doesn't put up the craziest stats, he consistently shows up in the big games, a theme that will continue in the rest of this video. His performance against Tottenham in the Champions League group stages was so good that this is what Hugo Lloris had to say about him. "We could not take the ball away from him. It was incredible. I admire the player he is. Bro was so good he was getting glazed by the opposition goalie." That season, Bernardo finished with 11 goals and 12 assists, helping Monaco break PSG's dominance in France. They didn't stop there, going all the way to the Champions League semi-finals. And one of the biggest moments on that path came against Manchester City in the round of 16. That's when Pep Guardiola really noticed him. Pep has always loved the smart players with high footballing IQ. You look at the players that he's managed before, like Xavi, Iniesta, David Silva, Lionel Messi. These are all players who think much faster than everybody else. And Bernardo Silva fit that profile perfectly. After watching him in that tie, Pep was already sexually aroused by what he could achieve if he had Bernardo Silva in his squad. The timing also made sense. David Silva was getting older and City needed someone to take over that role. Bernardo was the perfect fit. Small, quick, super intelligent, and left-footed. He could do everything. He could play in the midfield, play out wide, even as a false 9 if needed. Wherever you put him, he would figure it out. So in May of 2017, Manchester City signed him on a 5-year deal for around 50 million euros. A pretty big fee considering what Monaco had paid for him just 3 years earlier.
Decided that you couldn't beat me, so you had to buy me. I'm joking.
Bernardo did not take long to make an impact. In February of 2018, he scored his first Champions League goal for City in a 4-0 win over Basel. Then a month later, he stepped up again in a big game, scoring the winner against Chelsea. That win put City just 3 games away from winning the Premier League. Even though he was new, he quickly became an important member of the team. He ended up playing 53 games that season, more than anyone else in the squad. City hit 100 points in the league, one of their greatest seasons ever. And right in the middle of it all was Bernardo, a 5'8" winger with a lean build, handling the most physical league in the world, and still putting up some great stats. Same story as always. Size doesn't matter. At least in football. In other areas of life, I can't really comment. Next season, City needed Bernardo even more. Kevin De Bruyne had missed the majority of games due to an injury. Someone had to step up and take over the responsibility of creating and scoring goals. Bernardo showed his versatility as he shifted away from being consistently on the right wing to playing more centrally. Many journalists were sure that Bernardo Silva shot himself in the foot by taking the challenge of playing more centrally with the limitation of his physical ability. It's easier for shorter players to play on the wing, they said, but Bernardo, he didn't give a rat's ass. He made 51 appearances, scoring 13 goals and getting 14 assists in all competition. One of his best performances came in the Manchester derby, where he scored the opening goal.
Bernardo Silva, he shakes inside and scores!
All of his stats had gone up, from his long-range passing accuracy to chances created in open play. Deservedly, he was voted into the PFA Team of the Year and won the Manchester City Player of the Season award that was voted by the fans. Despite City's underwhelming performance in the 2020 season, Bernardo Silva was one of the few shining players. He scored 8 goals and provided 10 assists, including a hat-trick against Watford in a season where City not only lost the Premier League, but were embarrassingly knocked out by Lyon in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Then, at the start of the 2021-2022 season, it actually looked like Bernardo was on his way out. Pep had even said that Bernardo wanted to leave that summer. There were reports that he wasn't happy in Manchester and that clubs like Atletico Madrid and AC Milan were interested. But he stayed, and instead of his level dropping, he only got better. He started the season on fire, scoring the winner against Leicester in a tight 1-0 game. Then he played a big role in a 5-0 win over Arsenal and picked up man of the match performances against Liverpool and Chelsea. Pep even came out at one point and said that he was one of the best players in the world. And at that point it felt true. He scored in a 2-0 win against Manchester United at Old Trafford and just kept showing up in the big moment. Bernardo just loves dunking his nuts on Manchester United. He then got a man of the match after assisting Gabriel Jesus in a 2-1 win over Paris Saint-Germain. That result helped City qualify for the round of 16. But even with all of that, he didn't get the attention he deserved. He finished the season with 13 goals and 7 assists, and also moved from the right wing into central midfield without any issue. Still though, most of the headlines were about Kevin De Bruyne. The year before, it was Gundogan getting the praise for scoring the goals. Bernardo Silva though, he didn't even make it into the PFA Team of the Year, despite 6 other City players making it. Same story next season. In the 2022-2023 season, all the attention went to Erling Haaland and Rodri. And I mean, fair enough, Haaland scored 52 goals that season. But if you actually watch the big games, it was Bernardo Silva who shined the most. Bernardo had a goal and assist against Bayern in the quarterfinals. Then in the semifinal against Real Madrid, he scored twice in the second leg to send City to the final. And then, in the final itself, he set up Rodri for the winning goal against Inter, which gave City their first ever Champions League and completed the treble. So at this point, you begin to see the pattern. It's always Bernardo making the pass, the cross, the move before the goal. Someone else might score and get the headlines, but without Bernardo, those moments probably don't even happen. That's why City have continued to win trophies when he became the captain. Bernardo's lack of flashiness both on and off the pitch might be the reason that he stays so underappreciated. He isn't talked about as much as other City players by the media, but the fans know just how important he is. Even in his last few years at City, he still remained one of the most important players on the team. That's why losing him is such a big deal. He was the David Silva replacement, but now replacing the Portuguese magician is not going to be easy. Bernardo Silva is not the only player to be underappreciated due to his lack of flashiness. To see how Erling Haaland deals with a similar issue, check out this video right here.